Hi, my name is Elizabeth Peggy, and I've been interested in genealogy for a long time because I'm an adoptee. I was actually born in India at the end of the war, and I knew that my mother was a British Army officer serving as a senior nurse, but I didn't know who my father was. In 2002, my mother died. My birth mother died, and I thought, oh, she'll leave me some information now, because she knew how much I wanted to know who my father was, and she had always refused to tell me anything. Unfortunately, she didn't do that. So in 2002, when I retired, I decided this was my big retirement project, and I set about trying to find my birth father. Initially, I went on a few clues that I had that he was English and that his name was Leslie. But it turned out that those were all wrong, because I finally did trace a Leslie, would you believe, who had been in the area at the right time for me to be conceived. But when we did DNA testing in the old STR method, it was negative. So I had to start again. By this time, the new autosomal tests had become available, and FTDNA was there, and I did the test with them, and I also persuaded my maternal half-siblings to test as well. I noticed straight away that I had a lot of American relatives, and they had none. So I thought maybe my father wasn't English at all. Maybe he was American. So I started down that track. The problem was I had no clues at all. I just had the fact that he was American, and there were about 400 American men that were possibles for the time where I was conceived in Burma in 1945. So I listed all those men, and I had their names, and then I followed my matches until I found matches that had some of those names. Of course, at first I had lots of Smiths and Jones and names like that, and I spent a long time building out their trees, but eventually I found a Pilcher in a fourth cousin who fortunately had a brilliant tree on Ancestry. He shared that with me, and I then built out a tree for the man by the name of Pilcher who I had, and lo and behold, I could explain a whole lot of my cousins, my DNA cousins, by assuming that my father was this particular man. He had died, but I found his two of his daughters, and once I contacted them, they kindly agreed to do DNA, and we were able to prove it, that he was indeed my father. He was American. He was in the American Army Air Force in Burma at the time I was conceived, and I now have 2 paternal half-sisters and 3 maternal half-siblings. So almost all my genome is covered when I do DNA. For me, it was the combination of traditional genealogy and DNA that helped me solve my brick wall. Now that I know my paternal line, I have been busy developing my paternal tree. And AncestryDNA has been very helpful to me in this area, because here's my working sheet. I'm afraid it's very messy, but you can see this third great-grandmother of mine has got a blank beyond here because I didn't know who her parents were. And AncestryDNA has shown through DNA matching and other trees that I'm probably related to 2 people who are old enough to be the grandparents of my lady here. So I'm now busy trying to fill in this gap, but I've got a clue because I think I know who one of the parents were, one of the grandparents. If as an adoptee I was starting out again today, I would test on all 3 of the major companies that do DNA testing, because you never know where your close cousins are going to be and where you'll find your clues. I would also link with a number of groups, DNA adoption and various other groups like that are very helpful to adoptees, and follow their advice and try and find the solution. But it is a combination of a lot of hard work with traditional genealogy as well as studying your DNA results and learning about them.